Yeah.
Do you have a reason why? Or do you have an idea of why?
I think it kind of ties into what I was talking to Dane about before with the translations. Sometimes it's really difficult because we're matching the flaps to do a quality translation. So I think for those fans who really enjoy the authentic experience and who can't understand Japanese, it's better to go. They prefer to go with subtitles. I would say, as an English-speaking dubber, I would say give the English ones a chance. Sometimes we might surprise you. That there are certain dubs that are pretty good. Not better than the Japanese, just different. You know, a language alternative.
That's true, but then there are also the emotion that when I listen to dub, it seems like it's lacking the anime, the speaker for the original one.
Yeah.
It's lacking that emotion they have for certain event or what they're doing. So it seems like the dub doesn't really have that quality to it.
Yeah, that could be right. Again, it could be a cultural thing. It could be, a misunderstanding of the stakes in the scene, or it could just be an acting style as well. I mean, there's a real. I was in Tokyo actually just in March to visit my brother, and I had an opportunity to do a little bit of anime stuff, which was a lot of fun. I went to the big anime center. I can't think of what it's called now.
Which one? Shibuya or Akihabara?
Akihabara. So we went to Akihabara, and it was fantastic, and there were all these different things there. But I got a real impression, because they have big screens that have, that everything is playing, and it's just sort of a sensory overload. But I got the impression that everything is, more emotional, just bigger, more dramatic. Whereas we tend to, in English theater, or English, I also saw a piece of Japanese theater, and it was totally over the top, in my point of view. But I was there with a Japanese friend of mine, and he was like, this is fantastic, this is so real and so connected and all this stuff. So it might be a cultural thing, just our understanding of what being really emotional is, and a Japanese understanding of what being really emotional is, and maybe they don't sync up sometimes. But that's interesting. I mean, I think if you like it in the Japanese with just the subtitle, by all means. If you're consuming the genre, go for it. Whether you don't like the dub or not, I just think if you're watching it, that's the most important thing.
Another question. When you buy a DVD from an anime from America, sometimes they have the Japanese and with sub on it.
Yeah.
But then the sub is not usually in sync with the dub.
Oh.
So why that? Sometimes.
That would probably be a production thing. It's just, lazy production, unfortunately.
Okay.
That maybe that the demand for it is so high that they're just wanting to churn it out as quickly as possible. Yeah. Good question, though. Probably a better person to answer your questions would either be a producer or a director, because they have more access to the things that you're talking about.
And of course, and speaking of that same tone, then I watch the dubbed, but with also the English subtitles as if it were subbed, and they don't really match, because I think it's basically because also with dub you're trying to match into the flaps
Yes.
of the mouth, as compared to the subtitles, which is actually the original translation.
Right.
So maybe that's why there's a difference.
Yeah, that could be it as
So,
well.
yeah.
That could be it as well.
So I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
I wonder where the subtitles are done. Are they done in North America?
I don't know. I would assume so. But I know often what will happen is when we'll get a script, we'll get a translation, and we'll be going through it, and a line won't fit the flaps. And so in the room, we'll actually have to change it. So I wonder if there isn't a breakdown between the translation of it, the dubbing of it, and then the putting of those two together.
Mm-hmm. And I also think in certain points in sort of dubbing where they're like they're trying to translate into English, but they're looking at like one word that sort of translates something, and it's like that doesn't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can improvise and do something else and stuff to sort of make
exactly
fit.
what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, that is exactly what happens. Because really the thing is and it's interesting too, and I don't know this for a fact, but I've been told in session that with the Japanese dubbing, or with the Japanese voicing, it's not necessarily that important to make sure that the the language matches the flaps.
Yeah.
Whereas here, when we're doing it in English, it's paramount.
Yes.
You know, we're very particular about making sure that the timing is just right.
Hmm.
Do you guys have any questions?
I mean, don't feel like you're left out. I'm willing to share.
It's okay if you don't. I'm happy to have you just listen. It's good. No? Okay, we're all good.
So you got a chance to do, working for the games?
For games?
Yeah.
Yes. I did the Gundam Seed game, actually, where... And I wasn't playing my character. I wasn't playing Muriel Yaha. I was actually playing one of the lieutenants. Because from what I understand, I didn't actually play the game myself after I dubbed it. But you could choose which Gundam you would fly, and you could choose which lieutenant you were. And so there were 2 female lieutenants and there were 3 male lieutenants, and I was one of the female lieutenants. And it's interesting because it's all reaction. It's all sort of, we're going down, you know, that kind of stuff, and, you know, making sure that it's high action. Whereas with a cartoon, you get the opportunity to do, or cartoon, you get with the series, with the actual series itself, you get to go through the highs and lows of the character. So, you know, you get to do a little bit more acting. The difference with the game is that it's high energy all the way through. So I would leave the sessions just sort of going, oh God, I need an afternoon nap, or consuming as much water as I could because you're constantly yelling or constantly, you know, high energy, and having to do the same commands because it's you know, would you like yellow? Would you like blue? Would you like red? So it became a little monotonous, but from what I understand, the game is hugely successful, and I would do it again.
What about body movements?
No, they do the motion capture elsewhere. Yeah, and actually with Japanese anime, they tend not to motion capture too much because they're not. It's all drawn or put into the computer, but it's not the same as sort of digital stuff. Yeah. Actually, that's a question for any of you. Do you know whether there are any sort of like not CGI, but like Pixar equivalents in Japan? Anything like that?
There's I don't know if it precisely, but there is it's kind of it. This Appleseed Ex Machina coming out some months later.
Oh.
What do you mean by CD?
I mean like the where it's mostly computerized animation as opposed to
Like Final Fantasy movie and Final Fantasy Advent Children?
right.
I like
Yeah,
that one, yeah.
that's a great example.
I think, yeah, they look really good.
Yeah, and that was Japanese produced, was it not?
Yeah, that's Squaresoft.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that did look really good.
Yeah, and there's another one though. There's another one too, but it's like from '95, but it's done was done about 2 years ago.
Mm,
It's on Anime Newsnet anyway. I can't remember offhand.
nice. Yeah, the Final Fantasy one was crazy good. There were moments where I couldn't tell if it was real or if it was animated. Yeah,
Was it the movie or was
the
it
movie. Yeah, the movie.
like the first one that came in theaters?
I
or-
think the first one in the cinemas.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it was really good. Interesting though, I did have some trouble with the English dubbing.
Was it English dubbing?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I like what you were saying. I found that the emotions were wrong, that they weren't in sync with what I was seeing. You know, things are being blown apart, and she's becoming all ethereal and all this kind of stuff, and it just seemed a little empty.
Did you guys like dubbed in Japanese or dubbed in English?
I saw it in English.
But it was, I think the facial expression was mostly in English. Like, it's
Well, maybe it was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the background around it, but it didn't feel big enough for what I was seeing. The beauty and
Yeah.
sort of the extent of what I was seeing didn't really match the emotional ride. I know, it's just me.
No, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I'm a Final Fantasy fan,
Right.
and I didn't think they delivered enough. You know?
Yeah,
They didn't
I
have
agree.
all the stuff that's in Final Fantasy.
I
It was
agree.
more like a different movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Are you doing more voices for anything upcoming?
I am. The Shakugan no Shana, which is the most recent ADR that I've done. I play, I can never say her name right, which is a good thing I play her because I never have to say my own name. Wilhelmina. She's the maid. I'm always a maid or I'm always a robot. the maid trainer of Shauna, who's the main character. And we're recording a special in a couple of weeks' time, so it'll probably be out for general consumption in 2 or 3 months. So that's pretty exciting. She's, when I was in Tokyo, actually that was the character that I was confronted with the most. They're everywhere. Shauna is everywhere. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, that's about it. I've been making a move. It's interesting, Dane asked me a little bit earlier. I've been making the move from AD